I was 17 minutes into my presentation when Blake reached across the conference table and yanked the HDMI cable from my laptop. The screen went black. My words died in my throat. 40 executives stared at me in stunned silence. "I'm sorry, everyone," Blake said with that practiced smile that never reached his eyes. "Clearly Alexis isn't prepared for this level of presentation. Let me take over from here." My hand shook as I watched him connect his own laptop. My presentation, the one I'd spent 3 weeks perfecting, vanished. My voice came out strangled. "Blake, what are you doing? Your presentation was amateur hour, Alexis. These clients deserve better." He didn't even look at me. Just started clicking through slides. My slides. With his name on them. Every single slide I'd created. My research. My graphics. My strategy. All credited to Blake Morrison. The clients nodded along, impressed. My manager, Dominic, sat in the corner with his arms crossed, smirking. The woman in janitorial coveralls at the back of the room, there to empty trash bins, looked up sharply. I wanted to scream. To flip the table. To expose Blake's theft right there. But I was frozen, humiliated, and powerless. I stood there for another 30 seconds before Blake waved dismissively. "Alexis, you can go. I'll handle it from here." 40 pairs of eyes watched me gather my laptop with trembling hands. The smell of Blake's expensive cologne mixed with my own sweat made me nauseous. I could hear whispers as I walked toward the door. Poor thing. Completely unprepared. How did she even get this account? Blake saving this pitch single-handedly. My face burned. 6 years at Helix Marketing Solutions. 6 years of proving myself, working late nights, landing accounts. And in 17 minutes, Blake had destroyed my credibility in front of our biggest potential client, a $4.2 million contract. As I reached the door, I glanced back. The janitor was still there, standing motionless, staring at Blake with an expression I couldn't quite read. Then she caught my eye and gave the slightest nod. I stumbled into the hallway, vision blurred with tears. My phone buzzed. A Slack message from Blake, "Maybe next time come prepared. This is the big leagues." I wanted to throw my laptop through a window. I locked myself in the bathroom for 20 minutes, crying so hard I could barely breathe. This wasn't the first time Blake had undermined me, but it was the most public. The most humiliating. Blake Morrison had joined Helix 6 months ago as a senior strategist, my peer, technically. But he'd immediately started positioning himself as my superior. Taking credit for my ideas and meetings. Forgetting to include me in client emails. Interrupting me constantly. And Dominic, our manager, loved him. Blake had gone to the same business school as Dominic. They played golf together. They were brothers, as Dominic put it. I'd complained to HR twice. Both times, I was told to be a team player and not take things personally. When I pushed back, the HR director, Patricia, suggested I might be struggling with imposter syndrome and offered me a meditation app subscription. Now Blake had stolen my entire presentation and humiliated me in front of our biggest clients. And there was nothing I could do about it. Or so I thought. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. The text read, "Conference room B 20 minutes. Come alone." I stared at the message for a full minute. Conference room B was on the executive floor, a floor I rarely accessed. Who would text me from an unknown number? Curiosity won over caution. 20 minutes later, I stepped off the elevator onto the pristine executive level. Everything here screamed money, marble floors, original art on walls, the scent of expensive coffee. Conference room B's door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open. The janitor from earlier sat at the head of the table. She'd removed her coveralls. Underneath, she wore a tailored designer suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Her silver hair was styled elegantly. She radiated authority. Sit down, Alexis. Her voice was different now, confident, commanding. I sat slowly, confused. Who are you? She smiled. My name is Vivian Chen. I'm the CEO of Meridian Industries. The $4.2 million client Blake just stole your presentation for? That's my company. My stomach dropped. But you were dressed as a janitor. Yes. I like to observe companies before committing large contracts. See how they treat people when they think no one important is watching. Her eyes hardened. What I saw today was theft, humiliation, and management that enables both. I couldn't breathe. Vivian Chen, the legendary CEO who'd built Meridian from a startup to a billion-dollar tech empire, had watched Blake humiliate me while pretending to empty trash bins. Why? I managed to ask. Why pose as a janitor? Because people reveal their true character when they think they're not being observed. I've killed 3 major contracts this year after discovering how companies treat their staff. She leaned forward. Your presentation was excellent, Alexis. The market research was thorough. The strategy was innovative. Blake didn't change a single word, just slapped his name on it. He does that a lot, I said bitterly. Takes credit for other people's work. Especially women's work. I suspected as much. The way he dismissed you, the way your manager enabled it, that's systemic. She pulled out a folder. I had my assistant pull your employment record. 6 years at Helix. Consistently top performer. 13 major accounts secured. Yet you've been passed over for promotion 4 times. Always for men with less experience. I stared at the folder. She'd researched me. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm offering you a choice. Vivian slid a business card across the table. I'm not signing with Helix. Not after what I witnessed. But I am offering you a position at Meridian. Head of Client Strategy. $180,000 base salary. Full benefits. Stock options. You'd start immediately. My current salary was $68,000. This was almost triple. Why me? I whispered. Because you're talented, and you're being wasted here. Because Blake Morrison is a parasite who'll keep stealing your work until you have nothing left to give. And because, she paused, I was you once. 30 years ago. A young woman watching mediocre men take credit for my work. No one gave me an out. I'm giving you one. I looked at the card. Meridian Industries. Vivian Chen, CEO. A phone number embossed in gold. There's another option, Vivian continued. You stay at Helix. I publicly expose Blake's plagiarism. Demand an investigation. Force Dominic to answer for his role. You become the whistleblower who brought down the good old boys club. My hands trembled. What happens if I do that? You become a target. HR will close ranks. They'll make your life hell until you quit. But Blake and Dominic will face consequences. The choice is yours. I sat there, mind racing. 2 paths, escape to a dream job at triple my salary, or stay and fight a system designed to crush me. Can I think about it? My voice came out small. You have until tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. Vivian stood. Whatever you choose, Alexis, know this, you're worth more than how they treat you here. Don't let them convince you otherwise. She left, leaving me alone in that pristine conference room with 2 business cards and an impossible decision. I walked back to my desk in a daze. Blake was holding court in the break room, surrounded by admirers. And when I saw Alexis's amateur slides, I knew I had to salvage the pitch. Sometimes you've got to carry the whole team, you know? Laughter. Agreement. Dominic clapped him on the shoulder. I wanted to vomit. At my desk, I found a sticky note on my monitor, good effort today. Maybe try harder next time. Blake. Something inside me snapped. I pulled out my phone and texted the unknown number. I need more information before I decide. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, come to my office. 7 p.m. The address is on the card. Meridian Industries headquarters was a glass tower in the financial district. I'd passed it hundreds of times, never imagining I'd walk through those doors. The evening security guard checked my ID and directed me to the 47th floor. Vivian's executive assistant, a sharp woman named Rosario, met me at the elevator. Ms. Chen is expecting you. This way. The executive suite was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Original art. The kind of space that announced success without saying a word. Vivian sat behind an enormous desk, reading something on her tablet. Alexis. I'm glad you came. Sit. I sat. I need to understand what happens if I expose Blake. Really understand. You said I'd become a target. Let me be blunt. If you go public, Helix will launch an internal investigation that's designed to protect Blake and Dominic. They'll question your credibility. Dig through your work history for any mistake. Paint you as a disgruntled employee. HR will make the process so painful you'll want to quit. Then why would I do it? Because it's the right thing to do. Because other women at Helix will face what you faced unless someone stops it. Vivian pulled up something on her tablet and turned it toward me. I had my team do some digging. Blake has done this before. At his last company, Sterling and Associates. A woman named Nadia filed a formal complaint about him stealing her client presentation. The company settled quietly. She signed an NDA and left. My blood ran cold. He's done this before? Twice that we can confirm. Possibly more. The pattern is identical: befriend management, undermine female colleagues, steal their work, force them out. She closed the tablet. Sterling gave him a glowing recommendation to Helix. Never mentioned the settlement. That's insane. That's corporate America. Men like Blake fail upward while women like you, women who do actual work, get pushed out. She leaned back. So here's what I'm really offering. Take the job at Meridian. Walk away clean. Or, she paused dramatically, take the job at Meridian and help me destroy Blake's career while you're protected by my legal team. I blinked. What? Option 3. You accept my job offer. Then, as a former Helix employee with no financial stake in the outcome, you file a formal complaint. My lawyers back you up. We subpoena Blake's work history. We expose the pattern. And you're safe because you're already gone. The idea was audacious. Terrifying. Perfect. Why would you do this? I asked. You don't even know me. Because I'm tired of watching talented women get crushed by mediocre men. Because Meridian's values include actual accountability, not corporate lip service. And because, she smiled coldly, Blake Morrison tried to sell me stolen work. That's fraud. I take that personally. I thought about the last 6 years. The late nights. The stolen credit. The condescending comments. Dominic's smirk as Blake humiliated me. If I do this, what happens to me? Reputation-wise? In the short term? Some people will call you difficult. A troublemaker. The usual nonsense they say about women who speak up. In the long term? She gestured around her office. You become known as someone with integrity. Someone who stood up. That reputation opens doors. I looked out at the city lights, thinking. Then I looked at Vivian, a woman who'd clearly fought her own battles and won. I'll do it, I said. Option 3. I'll take the job and file the complaint. Vivian smiled. Good. Let's burn it all down. The next morning, I walked into Helix at 8:30 a.m. Blake was already there, coffee in hand, laughing with Dominic about something. I went straight to HR. Patricia looked surprised to see me. Alexis? Did we have a meeting? No. I'm here to file a formal complaint. Blake Morrison plagiarized my work yesterday. He stole my entire client presentation, removed my name, added his own, and presented it as his work to Meridian Industries. Patricia's expression shifted from surprise to concern to something harder. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. I have documentation. Timestamps on my files. Email chains. Everything. Alexis, I think you're upset about yesterday. But Blake's approach was different. Blake's approach was my presentation word for word with his name on it. That's plagiarism and fraud. I slid a folder across her desk. Here's my formal written complaint. I expect an investigation. She didn't touch the folder. I'll need to discuss this with leadership. You do that. I'll be at my desk. I walked out, heart pounding. Step 1 complete. At 10 a.m., my phone rang. Dominic. My office. Now. Dominic's office smelled like stale coffee and desperation. He sat behind his desk, arms crossed, face red. Blake stood in the corner, looking smug. What the hell do you think you're doing? Dominic's voice was low, dangerous. Filing a legitimate complaint about workplace misconduct. Legitimate? You're making wild accusations because you bombed a presentation and Blake had to save you. Blake didn't save anything. He stole my work. Blake spoke up, voice dripping with false sympathy. Alexis, I know you're embarrassed about yesterday. But accusing me of plagiarism? That's defamation. I could sue you. Sue me then. I have documentation. Dominic slammed his hand on the desk. You're being insubordinate. I could fire you right now for creating a hostile work environment. Go ahead. Fire me for filing a legitimate HR complaint. I'm sure the labor board would love to hear about that. His face went purple. Get out. You're suspended pending investigation. 2 weeks. Without pay. Perfect. Exactly what Vivian predicted. I'll expect everything in writing. As I left, Blake called after me, You just ended your career, Alexis. You know that, right? I turned at the door. We'll see about that. I went straight to Meridian Industries. Rosario was expecting me. Ms. Chen is in a meeting, but she left this for you. She handed me an envelope. Inside, an offer letter, a signing bonus check for $15,000, and a note in Vivian's handwriting, Welcome to Meridian. The legal team is ready when you are. V. I signed the offer letter right there. 2 days later, Vivian's legal team filed a formal complaint with Helix's board of directors, bypassing HR entirely. The complaint detailed Blake's plagiarism, included evidence from the Meridian meeting, and referenced his history at Sterling and Associates. The legal team also sent a letter to Sterling and Associates requesting information about Nadia's settlement. Corporate lawyers hate discovery requests. Things were about to get interesting. Meanwhile, I started at Meridian. My new office had windows. Real windows. My new team was diverse, talented, respectful. On my 3rd day, Rosario brought me coffee and said, Ms. Chen wanted you to know, Helix's board is convening an emergency meeting. Blake and Dominic have been placed on administrative leave. I nearly dropped my cup. What? Your complaint triggered an audit. They found 7 other instances of Blake taking credit for women's work. The board is furious. The story broke on industry news sites within a week. Marketing firm faces plagiarism scandal. Helix marketing under investigation for workplace misconduct. My inbox exploded. Reporters requesting interviews. Former colleagues sharing their own Blake stories. 3 other women from Helix reached out privately, he did the same thing to me. Nadia from Sterling and Associates contacted me through LinkedIn. I signed an NDA but I want to help. Can we talk? Vivian's legal team was thrilled. If we can prove a pattern across companies, we can argue systematic fraud. Sterling could be liable too. Blake's LinkedIn profile went dark. Dominic deleted his Twitter. Patricia from HR released a statement: Helix Marketing takes workplace conduct seriously and is investigating thoroughly. Too little, too late. One evening, Vivian called me into her office. How are you holding up? Honestly? I'm terrified and exhilarated at the same time. Good. That means you're alive. She poured 2 glasses of wine. I want to tell you something. When I was your age, a man at my company stole my product design. Presented it as his own. Got promoted. I stayed quiet because I was scared. It took me 10 years to rebuild my career. What happened to him? He's still there. VP now. Still stealing women's ideas. She raised her glass. I couldn't fight then. But I can fight now. Through you. We clinked glasses. Alright, I need to ask you something. Put yourself in my position for a moment. You're in that conference room. Your manager just yanked your HDMI cable mid-presentation. Your work is being stolen in real time. 40 people are watching you get humiliated. You have no power, no recourse, no allies. Then later, a CEO offers you an escape route, a dream job, triple the salary, and the chance to expose the person who wronged you. But doing so means becoming a target, enduring an investigation, having your credibility questioned. Would you have walked away quietly? Taken the job and stayed silent? Or would you have done what I did, fought back, knowing it would be ugly? Drop your answer in the comments. Because this decision changed everything. Me? I chose to fight. Not just for myself, but for every woman who'd been in that room, watching Blake take credit for work she did. For Nadia, who'd been silenced by an NDA. For the 3 women at Helix who'd suffered in silence. I chose to fight because Vivian gave me something my company never did: backup. And what happened next proved I'd made the right choice. 3 weeks into the investigation, Helix's board requested a meeting with me. I brought Vivian's lead attorney, a fierce woman named Simone Ortiz. The board consisted of 5 executives, 3 men, 2 women. They looked uncomfortable. The chairman, Wesley Bradford, spoke first. Ms. Reeves, we appreciate you coming. We've completed our preliminary investigation into your complaint against Mr. Morrison. And? We found evidence supporting your claims. Mr. Morrison plagiarized your presentation. He also took credit for work from 4 other employees, all women. Simone leaned forward. For other employees you knew about and did nothing to protect. Wesley shifted. We were unaware of the pattern until your complaint triggered the audit. That's convenient, I said. What about Dominic? He enabled Blake. I watched him steal my work and humiliated me for objecting. One of the board members, a woman named Claudia, spoke up. Mr. Vance has been terminated. Effective immediately. I blinked. Terminated? Yes. His conduct failed to meet our leadership standards. Wesley continued, looking pained. As for Mr. Morrison, we've terminated his employment as well. With cause. No severance. We're also referring his case to the State Labor Board for potential fraud charges. I sat back, stunned. You're actually holding them accountable? Ms. Reeves, what happened to you was unacceptable. We failed you. We failed other employees. We're implementing immediate reforms, mandatory bias training, a revised promotion process, and an anonymous reporting system. Wesley paused. We'd also like to offer you your position back. With a promotion to senior strategist and a significant salary increase. Simone glanced at me. I knew what she was thinking: this was damage control. They were terrified of a lawsuit. What about Patricia? I asked. The HR director who dismissed my concerns and suggested I had imposter syndrome? Claudia's mouth tightened. Patricia has also been terminated. 3 people fired. Reforms implemented. All because I refused to stay silent. I appreciate the offer, I said slowly. But I'm happy at Meridian. Wesley looked deflated. We understand. We'd like to compensate you for the harm done. We're prepared to offer a settlement. I don't want a settlement, I interrupted. I want you to make sure this never happens to anyone else. The meeting ended with Helix agreeing to implement sweeping policy changes and make a public statement about the investigation. No settlement, no NDA, I refused to be silenced. Walking out of that building for the last time felt surreal. Simone grinned. You just made them fire 3 people and overhaul their entire system. That's power. It doesn't feel like power. It feels like it shouldn't have taken this much. You're right. It shouldn't have. But you did something most people can't, you fought back and won. Back at Meridian, my team had decorated my office with congratulatory balloons. Someone had ordered a cake that read, "Justice served." Vivian appeared in my doorway. How'd it go? Blake's fired. Dominic's fired. Patricia's fired. They're implementing reforms. Good. You earned that. She handed me a file. Speaking of which, I have a new project for you. $8 million client. They specifically requested you after reading about how you handled the Helix situation. Turns out, integrity is good for business. I opened the file, hands trembling slightly. An $8 million account? That's yours. You'll lead the pitch, build the team, take full credit. Welcome to what work looks like when mediocre men aren't stealing it. 3 months later, I was presenting to that $8 million client, a tech startup preparing for IPO. My presentation. My name on every slide. My team supports me. The startup CEO, a woman named Octavia, stopped me halfway through. This is excellent. Really excellent. Can I ask you something personal? I nodded. I read about what happened at Helix. About you standing up to plagiarism. That took guts. She looked at her team. We want to work with people who have that kind of integrity. Meridian has the contract. Full $8 million. My team erupted in applause. I felt tears prick my eyes. After the meeting, I called Nadia, the woman from Sterling and Associates who'd first complained about Blake. Nadia, I wanted you to know, Blake's been blacklisted from major marketing firms. Sterling is facing questions about why they hid his history. And 3 other women have come forward with similar stories. She was quiet for a moment. You did what I couldn't. You fought back. You fought back too. You just didn't have backup. That wasn't your fault. Thank you for saying that. Her voice cracked. I thought I was crazy. Like maybe I'd imagined it or blown it out of proportion. You didn't. He was a predator. You were right to speak up. Word spread quickly in the marketing world. I started getting calls from other companies asking me to speak about workplace integrity. A business journal requested an interview. LinkedIn influencers shared my story. Blake Morrison's name became synonymous with plagiarism and fraud. His career was over. Dominic found work at a small firm in another state, a significant step down from Helix. I heard through the grapevine that he blamed me for ruining his reputation. Patricia, the former HR director, reached out via email. I hope you're happy. I lost my job because of your accusations. I didn't respond. Simone advised against engaging. But Vivian saw the email. She lost her job because she failed to do it properly. That's on her, not you. One evening, I was working late when Vivian knocked on my office door. Busy? Just finishing the quarterly report. Take a break. I want to show you something. She led me to the executive lounge, a space I still felt too junior to use. She poured 2 drinks. To survival. To survival, I echoed. You know why I really hired you? Vivian asked. It wasn't just talent. It was resilience. What do you mean? I asked. You'd been beaten down for 6 years. Stolen from. Dismissed. Humiliated. And you were still fighting. Still creating excellent work. That's not just talent, that's strength. She sipped her drink. Most people would have quit. Moved to a different industry. Convinced themselves it wasn't worth the fight. I almost did quit. Many times. But you didn't. And when I gave you an opportunity to fight back, you took it. That's the kind of person I want building Meridian's future. I felt my eyes water. Thank you. For seeing me when no one else did. Oh, people saw you, Alexis. They just didn't want to acknowledge you because acknowledging you meant acknowledging their own complicity. She set down her glass. Speaking of which, I have news. The board is promoting you to VP of Client Strategy. Effective immediately. $240,000 salary. Full equity stake. I nearly dropped my drink. VP? I've only been here 5 months. And you've landed 3 major accounts, rebuilt our client relations framework, and become the face of integrity in marketing. You've earned it 10 times over. The promotion announcement went public the next day. My inbox flooded with congratulations, and a surprising email from Wesley Bradford at Helix. Dear Ms. Reeves, I wanted to personally congratulate you on your promotion. Your success is a testament to your talent and integrity. I hope we can move forward positively. Best regards, Wesley. I showed it to Vivian. She laughed. Translation: please don't sue us and please stop making us look bad. Should I respond? Only if you want to. You don't owe them anything. I thought about it, then replied, thank you. I hope Helix's reforms create the culture it should have had all along. Professional. Gracious. Final. That weekend, I treated myself to something I'd never afforded before, a designer suit. Not because I needed it, but because I could. Because I'd earned it. Monday morning, wearing that suit, I walked into my VP office with windows overlooking the entire city. My name was on the door in gold letters, Alexis Reeves, Vice President of Client Strategy. I took a photo and sent it to my mom with the caption, "We made it." She called immediately, crying. I'm so proud of you, baby. So proud. 6 months after the promotion, I was invited to speak at a Women in Business conference. The topic, standing up in corporate spaces. Standing on that stage, looking at hundreds of faces, I felt the weight of what had happened. How close I'd come to just accepting Blake's abuse. How Vivian's intervention had changed everything. I want to tell you about the worst day of my career, I began. The day my manager yanked an HDMI cable mid-presentation and stole my work in front of 40 people. The audience leaned forward. I told the whole story. The humiliation. The choice Vivian gave me. The decision to fight back. The investigation. The terminations. The rebuild. Here's what I learned, I said. Mediocre men succeed because good people stay silent. They succeed because HR protects them. Because companies care more about avoiding lawsuits than protecting employees. Because we're taught that speaking up makes us difficult. Heads nodded throughout the audience. But here's the other thing I learned, you're not powerless. Document everything. Find allies. Don't accept gaslighting. And when someone offers you backup, take it. The applause was thunderous. After the conference, a young woman approached me. She couldn't have been more than 25. Ms. Reeves, I'm dealing with something similar at my company. My boss takes credit for my work constantly. I don't know what to do. I gave her my card. Email me. Let's talk. I might be able to help. Over the next month, I heard from 17 women facing similar situations. Some I could advise. Others I connected with lawyers. One, I hired directly at Meridian. Vivian noticed. You're building a network. I'm doing what you did for me. Giving people options. Good. That's how we change systems, one person at a time. She handed me a folder. Speaking of which, I'm stepping back from day-to-day operations next year. The board needs to name a new CEO. I stared at her. You're retiring? Semi-retiring. I'll stay on as chairman, but the company needs younger leadership. She smiled. I'm recommending you. My heart stopped. Me? For CEO? I've been VP for less than a year. And you've tripled our client base, rebuilt our culture, and become an industry leader. You're ready. The question is, do you want it? I thought about that conference room at Helix. Blake's sneer. The HDMI cable yanking. How powerless I'd felt. Yes, I said. I want it. 1 year after Blake Morrison yanked my HDMI cable, I became CEO of Meridian Industries. At 34 years old, I was the youngest CEO in the company's history. The press coverage was extensive. From plagiarism victim to CEO, the Alexis Reeves story. Business journals wrote case studies. I was invited to give a keynote at my alma mater. Blake Morrison's name, meanwhile, appeared in a cautionary article about corporate fraud. Last I heard, he was working in sales for a regional insurance company. Dominic ran a small consulting firm that specialized in leadership development. The irony was not lost on me. Patricia tried to connect with me on LinkedIn. I declined. My first act as CEO was implementing a company-wide anti-plagiarism policy with teeth. Anyone caught stealing credit faced immediate termination. We also launched a mentorship program pairing senior leaders with junior employees, especially women and people of color. Vivian stayed on as chairman. During my first board meeting, she introduced me. Alexis represents everything Meridian stands for: integrity, resilience, and excellence. I couldn't be more proud. That evening, I stood in my corner office, looking out at the city lights. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Saw the news. Congrats on the CEO role. You deserved better than what happened at Helix. I'm sorry I didn't do more. Former Helix colleague. I smiled. People were watching. People were learning. I thought about that younger version of me, frozen in humiliation as Blake stole my work. I wished I could tell her, hold on. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Because here's what they don't tell you about standing up to workplace abuse: it's terrifying. It's messy. It might cost you in the short term. But in the long term? It costs more to stay silent. Blake Morrison yanked my HDMI cable thinking he was ending my presentation. He had no idea he was starting my revolution. And when the janitor in the back stood up and revealed herself as a CEO who'd changed my life? That was the moment I learned the most important lesson of all. You never know who's watching. You never know who'll offer you the backup you need. And you never know how strong you are until standing up is your only option. The woman who walked out of that conference room in tears isn't the same woman who became CEO. But she's still in here somewhere, reminding me why I fight. For her. For Nadia. For every woman who's had her work stolen and her voice silenced. This isn't just my story. It's ours. And we're not staying silent anymore.